Hey guys, I'm back. So today I want to talk about trauma bonds because that's something that I never really thought about that much until recently. But in my family, especially, there were a lot of trauma bonds that were formed in my family because of the things that happened. And the biggest trauma bond was the one between my brother and I, because I witnessed abuse happening to him. And so we formed this trauma bond because my sister was off at college. She did not witness it. My mom came into the house from like being at the store right as it was happening. So she was able to stop it because I ran outside and I was screaming for a neighbor. And then her car pulled up coincidentally, and she ran inside and, you know, took care of the situation, which was basically snapping my dad out of it. And then we all just walked away from each other and I went up to my room. My brother went to his room. My dad went into the den. My mom went into the living room. And we never talked about it. Never talked about it after that. And my brother and I mean, like, I knew that was wrong. My brother knew that was wrong, obviously. And he's the one who experienced that abuse, and so he has a lot of emotional scarring because of it, and it really messed with his mind. And so what ended up happening is my brother and I formed a trauma bond in which we felt like we were one soul that was broken in half, and that we were the only people that understood each other. Nobody else could understand us. And therefore we were like twin souls in a way because of what we had seen and experienced. And like I said, my sister was off at college, so she never believed any of this happened. And she chose to not believe that, like, my father was capable of being that violent and aggressive. But I saw it, and my brother saw it, and my mom saw it. And yet, nobody talked about it. And particularly in my family, my parents are baby boomers and my siblings are Gen Xers. And I am a millennial. So, like, my sister was born in 83. My brother was born in 84. I was born in 89. So there is this distance in age between us, and that was the perfect storm of my brother forming this trauma bond with me where, you know, he was the manipulator and the abuser, and I was the little sister that, you know, he could manipulate and, you know, put down and do things to make him feel better about what happened to him. But then there was like the moments where it was like we bonded and we felt like we were best friends. So I had these conflicting emotions with my brother, because I was like, oh, he's like my best friend. He's the only person that understands me, because that's what he told me. And so I started to believe it too. And he started to, like, we watched movies together and stuff. And I probably watched some movies that were not what I should have been watching at the age I was, but he exposed me to that stuff early on. And so I had a familiarity with adult topics from a young age, and I felt like it was a young age for me to be thinking about those things and knowing about those things, where it, you know, it wasn't natural the way that I learned about, you know, sex and all of that kind of stuff. It was exposure to things, and that part of that was my brother's behaviors and the way he treated me. And I looked up to him. I did. I looked up to him. I thought he was like the coolest older brother ever for a long time, because I could not see past, like, what was right in front of me, which was that we were trauma bonding. And it didn't really occur to me that it was like a trauma bond until probably, I don't know, well, when I was in my 20s, I want to say. I remember, so I have a tattoo on my shoulder that I got when I was 19, and it is, I'll pull up a picture of it. It's the artwork from Amnesiac by Radiohead, because Amnesiac and Kid A, obviously, are the twin albums, and they're very significant and important to me. My brother is the person who got me into Radiohead in the first place, and Kid A was the first album I ever listened to. And my brother and I had this sort of trauma bond with those two albums, because we always talked about the fact that those albums were like water and fire. Amnesiac was like the fire, you know, and then like Kid A was like kind of like water, and or ice. And like Amnesiac was I got that tattoo of the Minotaur, the crying Minotaur on Amnesiac on my shoulder when I was 19. And, you know, my brother knew about it back then. But then all of a sudden, like several years later, my brother texts me and says he got the Kid A bear tattooed on his arm, on the outside of his arm. And I knew he did that to trauma bond with me, because he was telling people that him and I got them together because of our bond. And that's not true. That trauma bond, my trauma bond with my music is not, even though like he showed me that stuff and exposed me to a lot of the culture and the music and stuff that I like, you know, that was my thing. When I was 19, I got Amnesiac tattooed. And part of that is the concept of amnesia, especially when it comes to trauma, it is so telling, because like there are things that we block out. There are things that we don't want to talk about. The crying is, you know, you're never supposed to let people see you cry, okay? My parents were baby boomers, so it was always like, don't cry, get over it. Don't let anybody see you cry. You're not supposed to cry. That's not allowed. So, I mean, that is a lot of the reason why I got that tattoo. And then when my brother did that, I was just kind of like, here we go again, because he's trying to trauma bond with me. And so there's been that back and forth relationship with my brother for a long time. But fairly recently, I started working on myself and accepting things, and I finally cut off that relationship, because I knew, I was like, this is not healthy for me. He has controlled my whole life and how I feel about myself because of what happened to him, what I saw, and then the way he treated me and how he changed after that happened to him. So trauma bonds are very complex things. If you can relate with any of what I've said, I'm glad. You're not alone. And if you feel like you are struggling and having a really hard time, please reach out to a trusted person. If it's within your family that it's happening, try a trusted friend or a trusted adult that's not inside of your family, a therapist, because those people outside can give you a better take on what you're experiencing. I used to always question it, like, oh, well, maybe this is normal, you know? Maybe what I'm experiencing, my parents normalized the trauma. They normalized it. So I thought it was normal. And then once I got an outside perspective, I realized how messed up my childhood was because of this, and why I've struggled with so many relationships since then. So yeah, those are my thoughts on trauma bonding, and I hope you guys have a great day. I will post more videos about this kind of stuff soon, and I appreciate you listening to me. Have a good day, y'all. Bye.